Let's cross live to the Prime Minister.
One of the Batyr programs in schools in Burwood, and it was transformational. Just the way they enable honest conversations to take place between young people, between peers, to talk honestly about mental health challenges and to make it okay to have those discussions. And the thing that I was really impressed about with Batyr was how they not just focus on young people who are struggling with mental health challenges themselves, and that can be caused, as we were just discussing with the young people earlier, by events that happen in people's lives, or they can just happen because of whatever mental health challenges they may be facing. And I want to thank everybody for sharing their stories. But they also focus on the peers as well. They focus on helping peers help friends, parents help their kids, teachers help their students. It is such a wonderful program, and I'm so proud that it's a program that comes out of Australia. You know, over the course of this pandemic, Australia has really stood out when it came to investing in the mental health services that Australians needed to get through this pandemic. You've heard me speak many times over the course of this campaign about our strength and the strength of our economy to help us come through and where we stand today. Can I tell you, the investments we're able to make in the well-being, the mental health well-being of Australians during this pandemic has also been absolutely important. Not just for the individuals involved, of course, but it means that Australians have been able to be resilient and be supported in that. And it's been tough. I mean, the isolation that many people feel when they're dealing with mental health, that is something I think so many Australians all around the country felt, often for the first time during the pandemic, and it put an enormous strain on our country, an enormous strain. And I'm just so proud of the Lifelines and the Kids Helplines and the Headspaces and the Batyrs and all of these organisations and Beyond Blue who we funded and we supported through the pandemic that extended a real lifeline to Australians as they've come through the pandemic. But mental health is not just an issue in the pandemic. Mental health is an issue each and every day for millions of Australians who struggle with it and will struggle with it in the future. It can strike any Australian, anywhere, any time, any income, any lifestyle, anything. It can affect you, and it can affect your life. And it's particularly affecting young people. We think at earlier and earlier ages, as one of the young people just said to us, just because kids are young doesn't mean they don't experience complex emotions and complex feelings. That's a very important point. And so it's up to all of us to do everything we can to support all of those in our country to be stronger and help them and give them the tools for that, and for our communities and our families to be stronger to help them with these mental health challenges. I'm very proud of what our government has done to focus on these issues of mental health. I'm very proud of the plan that David in particular has been able to bring together with Greg Hunt, over $3 billion, investing in the National Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Plan. That plan deals with clinical issues, it deals with early youth psychosis, it deals with head-to-health centres, it deals with online tools, and all of this is made possible. You can't just go and put a $3 billion plan on dealing with mental health and suicide prevention, of course, if you don't have a society and economy that can do it and can afford to do it. We've been able to prioritise important issues like mental health because we have focused on our economy, because we have focused on giving ourselves the opportunity to invest in these important programs and to help Australians who deal with these issues almost every day, if not every day of their life. And one of the key areas that impacts, I think, on the anxiety of our whole society, and particularly on young people, is what happens in social media. Now, before I come to that, today we've announced, as part of our online safety plan, we're giving $5.5 million as a commitment to Batyr for their youth mental health services. And it's going to make a big difference in reaching out to the schools, reaching out to young people all across the country. But in addition to that, that's part of how we're seeking to invest in the online world to make it safer. You have heard me say this ad nauseum. This is one of my great missions, can I tell you, of mental health in this country and the impact that social media is having on impacting negatively our society, our communities, our families. And if we want to be strong as a country, and I want us to be strong as our country, then we need to be dealing with this stuff. And we need to be ensuring that the online world, the digital world, is a safe place for Australians. The rules of the real world must apply in the digital world. And everywhere that we can act as a government to ensure that that is the case, we will do it. And we will constantly do it. Today, we're announcing further initiatives. You're aware of the online safety regulation. You're aware of the anti-trolling legislation that we sought to get into the Parliament. I was disappointed that that didn't get support at this point. I hope it will get support after the election. It will be one of the first pieces of legislation we take back into that Parliament, because I want to see those anti-trolling laws put into place. And I hope that the Labor Party has a different view on the other side of the election. It's important legislation. In addition to that, we're announcing today $23 million for eSafety Schools package, and that will improve the online safety capability of schools, teachers, students across the country. Many schools are just not equipped to deal with cyberbullies, and that's not their fault. It's a complex and weird world to operate in, and people find it hard to understand, and they need to be giving the support and the resources and the tools to help them deal with it, to help their students. It covers everything from raising awareness, books, posters, flyers, teacher training programs and teaching resources and for students as well. We'll also be ensuring that tech companies install stronger parental controls on smartphones and tablet devices. As a parent, Jenny and I know, your kids are ahead of you when it comes to dealing with technology. They know how to get around all the other things. That's just real life, and we live it just like everyone else does. And what we want is safety by design. And it's something, as Paul will tell you, you're making a car, it has to be safe by design. And so must these tablets and devices, so much be the internet world in which Australians live in. And the companies have a huge responsibility to ensure that the world they are creating online is safe, and they have to do this by design. And so what we will be doing is ensuring, working with the industry, we will get that code in place, which will require the mandatory installation of these filters and devices, and making them more easily usable, particularly by parents, to ensure they're preloaded, so we can ensure, as parents, as families, we can be empowered to be more safety conscious and to be able to protect our own kids online and be given the support of the devices themselves to help us achieve that. And I'm putting a time limit on it. I want this done in 12 months on the other side of the election of when we start this, and if the companies won't do it, we will make them do it. Now, I've made those threats before to big tech companies, and I've followed through on every single occasion. They've tried to stare me down before. They've tried to marshal resources around the world even. And I've stood them down, and they know I am very serious when it comes into protecting Australians, and particularly young Australians, online. We're also committing today $10 million to the eSafety Commissioner, the first one of its kind in the world, I would stress, to cut red tape by ensuring victims only have to tell us once when they're looking to get the help they need. This came out of Lucy Wicks's parliamentary inquiry that happened over the summer, you'll recall. One of the things that those who struggle with abuse online is they have to tell their story over and over to so many different places, and that relives all the trauma. And so we have to sort that out. And so providing $10 million to the eSafety Commissioner to ensure that they can work with other authorities to streamline that process, I think is very important. And we're also supporting multicultural communities who are so often targeted by vile abuse online, and we'll earmark $2 million from our online safety grants program for projects that particularly support women and girls in cold communities. We were listening to young people before, and they said they go online and trying to find someone who talks like them, looks like them, has similar experiences to them, so they don't feel so isolated in their own experiences. And it's very important in Australia that we can do that with our cold communities as well, and that those sort of resources and experiences can be shared, and it's something that Batyr does very well as well. So look, I'm very proud of this plan. It's there to protect women, it's there to protect girls, it's there to protect young people, it's there to protect people who are the subject of trolling and abuse. It's there to keep Australians safe, and it's there to keep our online spaces and to make them safe in the future.